Here we are again, having fun painting with me. Welcome to my channel again. Yeah, I'm doing a still life here today, and I'm busy establishing the balance and the composition once again. I like using an unconventional tool like a palette knife. Often I use that. Or things like, I like to explore, so like this roller bearing that I'm using here is really good to experiment with. It flattens the color, it does things that I can't actually explain, but it creates a different effect to what I'm normally used to, and I like it. It creates a pleasant surprise, a nice a different outcome than what I normally would expect to do. Yeah, you will see in this painting that I'm trying to create unfinished marks. I'm not trying to be as deliberate and leaving a lot to the imagination. Leaving something unfinished has been exciting me lately. Instead of 10, go 9. Instead of 100%, go 60, 70. In my mark making, in my deliberate, even in a description of form. Just leave it open to interpretation is also very exciting to me. I find myself open to a diversity of tools. Like I always use brushes. They are a very powerful tool, but when I use a palette knife a lot, I tend to think of the paintbrush as a palette knife. I once used a knife and fork, and the utensil that you would eat with, and that was so strange because it restricted me in control, but then it causes me to let go. So unconventional tools create unconventional marks, and here you can see I'm massing in areas just to establish mood and bring in a back underpainting that I'll work over. But I often think of the paintbrush as a palette knife. It's just a different way of thinking, putting the color in, putting it down fresh, and making sure that the colors are fresh and clean. That's very important to me. Once you've established your rhythm and balance and your underlying structure of your painting, and you're happy with that, and you can build on that. So this is the time when you have to really just play and find yourself in a childlike state, playing, exploring. So yes, and I would like to discuss broken edge. I love broken edges, breaking up hard edges, creating almost a haze, cloudy effect. What it does for me is it unifies the painting, causes a harmony across the whole surface of the canvas, pulling everything together as one. Hard edges sometimes will come in later again, as I will pull them back up again. But I'll break up the edges just by swiftly moving my brush, like you can see, across the surface lightly. So as you can see also, there are areas where I've already established the warm and the cool. I'm still thinking very much what is cool and what is warm, and I don't mix them, so that once that foundation is set, you can then play with your the intensity of your color. So you can bring down the chroma a little bit, the vibrancy of the colors. You can make them more muted, you can make them milkier or darker. You can change values, but you've established your foundation of what is warm and what is cool. It's the same as when you're doing the composition in the beginning. You've established the framework that where you want to build onto, and once you've got a good firm foundation, I often work with composition like this. I think abstractly. I think about balance. I think about how it feels. I feel, how does the subject sit on the canvas and look interesting. I do a lot of feeling. I feel my way around the canvas a lot, and I step back a lot to look at how things are sitting and balancing on the canvas. Now, in terms of detail, earlier I blurred it and I made a cloudy effect by smudging everything. And now you can find that I'm bringing back some of the detail by just bringing in higher contrast, darks, lights, sharp edges again, which you'll probably find I will destroy later again. I will soften again, or maybe not, depending on what I want the eye to be attracted to, because I find the eye is very much attracted to contrast and sharp edge. So I focus a bit more now on pulling the painting and bringing a little bit more detail in. But you can see I worked loosely in the beginning, and then now I'm coming more into finer detail. And if the detail doesn't work, I'll probably get rid of it. For me, too much detail is not always a good thing. I like to step back from a painting and enjoy it from a distance. I've been painting since 1996, when I left school quite early, full time. And I found that painting, I used to think, I'm an impressionist and I like impressionism, but I didn't even realize what that actually meant. And by studying history of art a little bit more over the years, I've always had the mindset of being a student and learning as much as I can, self-taught, breaking new ground every day, daily, painting for hours every day, growing and growing, coming to a place where people say to me, can you teach us, can you help us? And this thing gets into your head where you think now you've arrived. So that's not a good thing. The master has got nothing to gain, but the student has everything to gain, and that's quite a big thing. Being a student always helps you to grow and maybe even change your style. Someone came to me the other day and said, how do I find my style? And I said to them, just paint. When you write with a ballpoint pen, you don't think, oh, how am I going to write? What is my style of writing? It just comes out. And you refine it the more you do it. And your hand eventually starts moving a certain way, and you start liking different preferences. But don't even stick to one style. Change your style. Look out there. Lots of people have got techniques and different styles of painting. And if there's a style that you particularly like, then analyze it. Copy it if necessary. Copy and paste paintings that you think, oh, that's how I want to paint. And then study it. Analyze it. Break it down. Mechanically deconstruct it. Engineer it. Rebuild it. I saw John Sigurd Sargent's work. We all love John Sargent's work. He was a genius, and he must have painted a lot. And his efficiency of stroke, and his energy that he painted, and his beautiful watercolors, it's always inspired me. And I found that a lot of these brushstrokes were constructed, were engineered, were thought of. So I've had this new thought in my head that if you paint ugly, let's say you paint just to get it down, but paint thin, keep your paint thin in the beginning. And then once it's dry, you've got the opportunity now to say, okay, I've done all the hard work. I've got the colors down, I've got the warms down, I've got the shape down, I've got the structure down, the framework down, it's all there. Now I can think about brush mark. I know that it looks like John Sargent just from the beginning of the canvas just magically swooped his brush, and it was just there the paintings appeared. But I do believe that some of the brush marks, a lot of his brush marks were so deliberate and so thought out that he designed them, that he made them look like it was done fast, quickly and efficiently. So I don't think that we need to put ourselves under so much pressure that we need to create a masterpiece in the first hour. If you do, great, you must be a genius, but I think that you can think about your brush marks, you can soften edges, you can lengthen brush marks, you can add brush marks on top of brush marks to make it look like you did this in one fluent motion. I've often had people come to my paintings and go, oh, how did you, look how quickly you just brushed such a bold mark there, how did you do this? And you know what, I actually just would think about it and think it needs that energy there, it needs that rhythm. And I would experiment with big, bold, rhythmic brush marks, looking at the rhythm, because that's the next phase of the painting now. Now you need to look at the rhythm. You need to look at the harmony of the colors. You need to look at how things are coming together now. So yeah, that's quite an interesting thought, I thought. So yeah, one more thing I want to talk about is building on that idea of designing your brush marks and your harmonies and all that near the end. Is I recently I've seen artists use computers a lot, and with winter coming up, I'm probably going to go out less and less and hibernate more in my little studio. And I've acquired this tablet, and what I would do is take a painting and then actually experiment on that. You get a program, I don't know what it's called, anyway, drawing tablet program, where I would then experiment with, like, play around with brush marks, play around with edge and rhythm, and break up a photograph even. And let's say, for example, the shadows are too dark, I would bring in blue, cool colors, cool down the shadows and bring them up in value instead of having them all black. You know, that's what a camera tends to do. and even take that image out into plein air and just stand there and correct the colors that I see versus what I see on the photograph and adjust them. And I found it really helps, because like your eye sees much more than what a camera can see. So when you're standing there physically and correcting the photograph, let's say you're saying, okay, those shadows are black, but the camera sees them as black, but they're actually beautifully cool and muted, and so you bring them up a bit. And I've got a pen, this amazing iPad pen that you can just draw with this program. It's really changed my life, because it's helped me think a lot in terms of planning a painting and really analyzing every single value and every single mark that I make, becoming a lot more sensitive to the marks that I make and slowing down. That's another very big point, is to slow down and be more aware of every single thing that you do. If you tap your palette knife like I'm doing there, what am I doing? Analyze, why am I doing this? Don't get into habits and blindly just make marks. When I roll with that roller, what is it doing? And it's good to experiment, but work out, what is it doing? When you scrape that palette knife across the canvas like that, what is it doing? Are you softening edges? Are you scumbling? Are you putting paint onto the canvas? And is it too harsh? Is it too soft? You do got to continuously be aware, and I find it incredibly exhausting. I've got used to painting. I can paint for a long time. 6 hours can go by and I'm in the zone. It's incredible when you come out of that and you find that you are so focused and all that time, that when you actually stop painting and you're finished, you are mentally totally wasted. My wife often comes up to me and will ask me a question, and I won't even be able to answer her. Or she'll say something about an email or something, and our gibberish would come out my mouth because I'm in another part of my mind and I'm so exhausted and I'm so drained. But while I was in the process, I'm not at all drained. I'm excited. It's like playing as a child. And then waking up after 6 hours and coming to reality and thinking, oh gosh, where have I been? What have I done? And then you step back and you see this painting, and your life is basically poured into every one of these canvases that I do, and they hang on your wall, and you think, oh, that was 6 hours of my life, that was 10 hours of my life, that was 2 weeks, that one I painted over, and I find that nothing is wasted. Like I said to my wife one day, I felt like I wasted my whole day doing this and never coming to anything. And she just said to me, nothing's ever a waste, because you're building an understanding, you're growing. So that was a good mindset, to always think nothing's ever a waste. If you paint over a painting, it's okay. Until you come to a place where you can't stop yourself from destroying that painting. It's good to paint over paintings until you come to a place where you think, no ways, I can't paint over this one. That painting must exist. And the other day I was actually looking for a stretcher, because I built my own stretchers, and I was going to quickly take this other painting off a stretcher and put a new canvas on. And I said to myself, and I've made a promise to myself long ago, I said, if a painting isn't on a stretcher, it doesn't exist, because it needs to be hung somewhere. Because if it's rolled up and you take it off its stretcher, it's rolled up, it collects dust and it's forgotten, and eventually it just vanishes, Whereas if it's on a stretcher and it's hanging, maybe not in your house, you haven't got enough space, because I've got a lot of paintings in my house, I don't have enough space anymore. So I got a lot of friends that say, we'll loan a painting, hang a painting in my house. And over the years, I've filled a lot of my friends' homes with paintings. I know where they all are, and they're all on my website. So when I sell them, I know I just go and fetch them. And people get quite attached to them. But it's good for people to enjoy paintings that are even almost strong. You obviously get the masterpieces that you feel those are like the one, you know, and you get ones that are really strong enough to not take off the canvas. Those ones, they also deserve to be hung, because other people love to experience them and grow with them, and it becomes part of their lives. Painting is an incredible thing, you know. Even for people that don't paint, they find that it enhances and feeds their souls. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching. I'm coming towards the end of my video now, and if you liked what we spoke about and saw, and it helped you get more inspired with your work, that's the purpose of me sharing what I do, just to inspire. And if you like it, like and subscribe. I would like to hear from you in comments. If you like any more feedback, let me know.